What's up, YouTube? It's Kenny again. Sitting here about 4 in the morning, still in Indiana. I'm sorry, I believe I'm in Illinois. Getting ready to go head to this pickup. I had a pickup and a delivery today. And then, like I said in the last video, they did dispatch me for tomorrow to head back to Texas to get repairs. So, wanted to make a video. I'm sitting here drinking my coffee and doing my YouTube videos this morning, trying to figure out, what's going to happen, what's going on with the markets, and when we might see a turnaround. And obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just trying to go by, I'm trying to listen to people on YouTube who have been through this type of scenario before, trying to learn from it, trying to learn what I should be looking for and try to come up with a thesis on what I think is going to happen. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, guys. I'm just a truck driver driving across the country, researching and trading stocks, and I will not be held responsible for any moves you make in the stock market. Not ever. I'm not your mama. So, what I say here in this video is just my opinion. It's just my thoughts. I could be way off base. So this, two of the guys on YouTube that I pay a lot of attention to are Meet Kevin and Financial Education Jeremy. All right. Now, I know I made a video about Jeremy. A lot of people perceived in a negative light and stuff, and it was a negative video. But I, as I said in that video, I watch all his videos, and, I have a lot of respect for the guy. He's been doing this a long time, and he's been really successful at it, and Kevin's the same way. And, I've watched a bunch of other videos as well. I'm glued to this thing because, I'm way down, and I really don't know what to expect. As I've soaked in this information, something that Jeremy said stuck out to me, okay? Now, I've talked a lot of times in the past about how I trade in a Roth IRA so that I don't have to worry about the taxes and stuff. So this angle to this never really clicked for me until I heard Jeremy say it. Something that nobody else I've seen has talked about, okay? And that is the fact that all of these people who are investing, including like institutional investors and funds and stuff like that, the big boys and the little guys, a lot of them are trading in taxable accounts. And so what that means for what's going on right now is that, when did the market crash, guys? When did the market crash and stocks got real cheap? February and March of last year. So, how many people bought that dip and how many people continued to buy after that dip and are listening to all this advice about you need to hold a stock for a year before you can sell it to get the long-term capital gains tax? That makes a lot of sense to me, that there were a lot of people who were buying when the stock market crashed in February and March who are hitting that 1 year mark. They're hitting that mark of having held that stock for a full year and being able to take advantage of the long-term capital gains tax and have been sitting on those stocks for a year. And those people could potentially be a lot of selling happening right now because of that. Now, Kevin and other people talk a lot about the bond yields and potential for inflation and interest rates potentially rising and stuff like that. And I think that that's playing a part in it as well. I think that we're kind of in this time period right now where we've got kind of this triple threat going on. You've got the Fed just kind of whispering, well, maybe some inflation, but just temporarily, but maybe some inflation. and then boom, the bottom starts falling out of shit. Okay, even though, you know, at least from the way I understand it, you know, they're not saying we're going to see some kind of massive inflation, and in truth, history, you know, has shown that it's been hard over the last, say, 20 years for them to manifest inflation. But there's no question that a lot of fucking money has been printed over the last year. And, you know, even though the Fed is saying there's not going to be much inflation and that they're not going to raise interest rates, you know, there's people hinting at the fact that that may happen regardless of whether they think the Fed says they're going to do it or not. So people are scared of that, and I think that's part of the reason some stuff is rotating into other stocks. But I really am starting to think that there are a lot of people hitting that 1 year threshold. A lot of people who in February and March bought a whole bunch of stocks when they saw the market fall, who are now hitting that 1 year period and have not been able to really sell without paying high tax bills, and now are coming to the point where they can pay that lower tax bill. And that may be part of the reason why we're seeing all this selling. Now, with that said, people continued to buy through March, April, May, so who knows how long this sell-off could go. You know, now, question is, like with the prices of where they are, you know, how long is it going to be before a lot of people start buying? You know, because right now prices are looking pretty damn attractive on a lot of stuff. So we're going to have to, in my opinion, wait for some type of an inflection point to where the stocks get cheap enough to where either a lot of the people who bought back in February and March, you know, maybe they want to wait for some more buying before they sell. You know, the ones who have not yet sold off, maybe we get to a point where they're like, well, stuff's come down quite a bit, so maybe I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit longer and wait for it to come back up. And then you've also, so we've got these kind of catalysts coming, is what I'm saying, is that we're going to hit a point pretty soon to where a lot of people that bought at the bottom last March are going to hit that 1 year mark, and they're going to have the opportunity to sell. Some of them are going to sell. Some of them are going to think, well, you know, the prices sure have come down a lot. Maybe I should wait a little longer. So this selling could continue on for the next month or so, you know. But I think that at the prices we're at now, it's only going to be a matter of time before some of these institutional investors start thinking. This is something that me, Kevin, talked about, how you know, a lot of these institutional investors and hedge funds and stuff like that are kind of rotating out into their hedges and kind of rotating out as the prices drop. And it's causing, you know, it's helping to cause this market to continue to drop. But at a certain point, the prices are going to get low enough to where they're going to be sitting there going, prices are looking pretty good right now. Maybe we should start rotating some of this money back. And even though it seems like, you know, kind of wishy-washy, they're back and forth, you know, that's what these guys do. They sit at their, you know, in their ivory tower, and they, you know, try to make decisions to put billions of dollars in to make money. And, you know, right now, things are starting to look more attractive now that these valuations have come down and these prices have come down. And we could see some of these hedge funds and institutional buyers, you know, saying, you know, Tesla is 600. You know, I think it might be time to put some more money back into that. So it's a combination of people selling because they're hitting that 1 year point, and people selling because they're scared of interest rates, and just all these things kind of combining. And I feel like once the stimulus passes, once we get some more injection of capital to some of these retail investors who are investing stimulus checks and stuff like that, which I don't think is a huge percentage. And I also think that there's something to be said for the fact that, and look, Democrat or Republican, you know, I'm an independent, I'm in the middle. I don't think that people who make $80,000 a year should be getting stimulus checks. I'm not talking about people who made $80,000 a year before, but people who throughout this pandemic made $80,000 this year. Guys, a single guy like me, if I made $80,000 a year, I don't need nothing. Okay, that's plenty of money. If you got your bills so extended that you can't pay everything on $80,000 a year, you got issues. And I'm sorry. And it is true that in some other parts of the country, it's a lot more expensive to live. I understand that. But just in my mind, you know, it feels like the way that they've cut a lot of people out of the stimulus that's going to be coming up, you know, I don't really have a huge problem with that, because I think, you know, the stimulus should be going to people who were only able to make 20 or 30 grand last year, or people, you know, I make like 50 grand a year, and, you know, all this stuff hasn't really affected me. Why should I get a stimulus? Like, why should I get some kind of stimulus? I'm doing fine, and a lot of people are. So I think that some of those people, okay, who make, say, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 a year or more, who had before been getting stimulus checks, those are the people who are able to take that stimulus check and dump it into the stock market. People making 30, you know, 40,000 a year, a lot of them have to use that stimulus check for rent and for what it's intended for. And some of these people who make more money don't necessarily need to use it for what it's intended for, which I think is a problem with the way it's being rolled out, you know, in the past. But what I'm trying to say is that we think that the stimulus is affecting the stock market because all these people are dumping their stimulus checks into the stock market. But this next package has been tailored in such a way that it phases out sooner, so that a lot of those people who make $90,000, $100,000 a year are not getting these stimulus checks, and therefore may not be able to dump stimulus checks into the stock market. I don't know, it's kind of a lot to digest into one video, but I still feel like it could kind of go either way from here. I think that there is pressure on the stock market to come down some more because of what I said, just selling pressure from people who have had these stocks for a year. But I think that at this point, probably a lot of the institutional investing and stuff like that, at this point, a lot of them have probably made their moves, and, you know, maybe will continue to make moves for another week or two. But I think that a lot of those moves have been made, and that now that we get to a point where the stock market's cheap enough where these same institutional buyers are going to be like, I do declare, stock's looking pretty cheap right now. We may see some of them start to flood back in. Now the question is, will the selling from the people for tax purposes, will that selling outweigh those institutional buyers? And I don't think it will. I think that when we get to an inflection point where the institutional money starts flooding back into some of these stocks, that's going to be way more money than these retail investors and, you know, just some normal rich people who have been waiting a year to sell their stuff. I think that money is going to outweigh their money, and we're going to start coming back up. When will that happen? I don't know. And like I said, I don't have a crystal ball. These are just my thoughts on it after digesting a bunch of stuff that I've heard from a bunch of people. And, you know, I think that we're set for a comeback. How much will we come back? How quickly will it happen? I don't know. And when will it begin? I don't know. I do know that March was the low of the crash. So maybe a month, you know, that a bunch of people bought in that dip, and I know a lot of people were continuing to buy, but I think that we're approaching a point here pretty soon where we're going to start bouncing back. I mean, that's just my opinion. You know, what are we down? I mean, I haven't been able to precisely calculate how far everything, you know, the market as a whole is down, but, you know, everybody's been saying 10% correction and stuff like that, and I think we're in that range, you know. So I'm still holding, still waiting on it, guys. So let's just see what happens. hit that subscribe button for me. I forgot to say it at the beginning of the video, I believe. Hit that subscribe button, like the video. Let me know what you think about the information I'm spitting out. Sound right to you? What do you think is going to happen? How much longer is this correction going to last? Subscribe, like, comment. Thanks for watching.